Thank you very much for having me, Anish. It's such a pleasure to be part of this event. I'm assuming that the PPT is all set and we're ready to go. Okay, perfect. All right. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, wherever you are. And this is the 100th webinar we are doing. So we seem to be in the new normal now, doing all of these events over remote. But I'm really hoping that someday soon we do these events offline and at hotels. But my name is Vinod, like Anish mentioned. I run the business transformation consulting team with Freshworks. And my role is to work closely with enterprise retailers, digital media organizations, and gaming companies across Asia Pacific and implement their customer experience strategy. So I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of customers during their omni-channel digital transformation journey. And I thought I'll put together some thoughts on why a lot of organizations get their omni-channel system wrong, and how we could enable omni-channel in the most seamless way. So let's go back to the word omni-channel in itself. It's been there for decades. Actually, the first time it was coined was in 2003 when Best Buy was trying to compete with Walmart by bringing in their technology services both offline and online. So we've actually been at this word omni-channel for almost a decade and over. But I still believe that a lot of brands, especially in retail, haven't figured it out. There are many reasons, but one of the biggest enlightening moment for all of us was the pandemic and the need for omnichannel in the last 1.5 to 2 years. When you consider the current state of omnichannel, pandemic has changed buyers' behavior completely, especially in the world of retail. These are reports which are coming off of McKinsey, which says that almost 50% of customers are ready to shop online from what they were doing before pandemic, and 90% of consumers in India have actually tried a new shopping behavior. This is alarming because this is no longer just digital natives or people who are just tech savvy, but everyone beyond that, all types of age groups have gone online to either interact with the brand or to purchase online as well. But only 40% of them continue to pursue offline activities like grocery shopping, essentials, and stuff. Forward looking is also very interesting. This is another report on different categories broken down within retail and where people think that they will spend more. And everything points to majority of shoppers moving online. As you can see, India is one of the highest growing market for the shift from offline to online. And it looks like this positive growth will continue across different sections within retail. That's good for brands, and obviously that's good for vendors like us, but it's actually a really interesting problem to think about. The need for digital and omnichannel is obviously higher now than ever before. And slightly it's also the shoppers to blame. Your shoppers expect faster responses even during the times of pandemic. And that's very interesting because as much as they expect faster responses, the same amount of percentage of shoppers also expect personalization. They want the brand to care for them, and they would want the brand to come back with interesting things they can buy. And it is no longer proactive from the shopper's side, but they expect the proactiveness to come from the brand and brands in general. In all of this, brands are expected to drive 90% of their interaction should have empathy. And that's a very difficult thing, especially from a brand's perspective. Getting omni-channel is really hard. There are three reasons to it. One is the proliferation of new channels and the shift of commerce within these new channels. For example, buying off of Instagram. And I've bought many items off of Instagram, which 5 or 7 years ago was just for photos and nothing else. So the brands are expected to get into these channels where commerce happens. The second one is also consumer behaviors changing almost every other day. There is a newer set of messaging apps which are coming. Consumers want the brand to offer this. And the brands have to listen very carefully, has to do this transformation over and over again. And that becomes very difficult, especially when there are fragmented pieces in the customer journey. And then finally, and I think this is the most important key to omni-channel failing, is incomplete context. When the agents are given access to all these different channels to support or to sell in many different ways as well. The agents or the brands have tons and tons of data, but they have no idea what to do with this. How do we build the context, and how do you drive exceptional customer service through this? So this in general is, as you can see, is a very hard problem to solve. So somebody somewhere, not Bob Dylan, but somebody somewhere is asking this question: is how many channels must a brand have before you can call it a truly omni-channel experience? I don't believe, before we get into the answer of this question, I don't believe that there isn't an answer. I definitely think there is a formula for this. Taking a step back, actually offering multiple channels or many different channels is actually a bad thing. And Gartner came up with a report which was very interesting. According to Gartner, offering your customers more choices will actually impact your bottom line by a huge margin. The study found that the number of customer contacts went from 2 to 3, as the number of channels went from 3 to 7. So which meant that you had to do more maintenance within the data, within the back end, within training and everything else, that it had an impact on the bottom line revenue as much as you believe as a brand that it has an impact on the top line as well. So we think that there could be 100 different channels out there, but almost 95% of retail consumers can have exceptional customer experience within 5 channels, and that's all most or majority of the brands need to focus on. We call it the rule of 5, and these are the 5 channels: self-service, messaging, email, phone, and social. The others are all what we call flavor of the season. Obviously, you're still in 1993 if you continue to give fax as a channel, but there are businesses and brands out there which do provide some of these, so we are not denying it. But 95% of the brands and the consumers, we believe, will get exceptional support and deliver exceptional support if they can work on these 5 channels. So the key is not to identify these or not, but the key is to getting each channel right, which is what I'm going to spend more time in the next couple of slides. First is self-service. Let's talk about the why. It's appalling, the growth of self-service and bots in the last couple of years. We've been talking at it similar to omni-channel for almost 5-6 years. I remember getting on stage and talking about it the last 5 years. But now it's a given. Every brand is expected to have some aspect of self-service because it's available 24/7. There's huge costs to be saved. Because, from an $8 of cost per interaction, it drops down to almost 6 cents, and it's incredible what you could do in terms of affecting the top line and the bottom line with self-service. Then the better utilization of your agents, where they could focus on far better things than handling mundane queries. So let's look at the how. We spoke about the why. Let's look at the how now. One big, learning I've had in working with large brands in Asia Pacific and implementing their self-service is the key to understanding and identifying frequently asked questions. It isn't just about what goes into knowledge base, but it also is beyond the L1 and into some of the L2 and L3 queries. Because when you think, a lot of the L1 and L2 or even L3 queries are very repeatable if you can identify the pattern. So the key is identifying the pattern. There are hundreds of niche tools out there, so a lot of enterprise organizations often think about building versus buying. But now, with technology being at the advanced stage for a lot of these SaaS companies, I think buying is way better and cheaper than building. So, organizations will have to think about that. Then the next thing is, often bots are only expected to solve customer queries, but there is actually a great use case for bots to be trained to accept defeat and be a seamless agent who hands over after getting a great discovery to a live agent or an email or a ticket elsewhere, which we see continues to add to the empathy. The customers continue to like it and improves the interaction with the bot. And then finally, a key metric is the zero contact resolution. And I think organizations need to consider how much of that is currently there today versus a roadmap for improvement. Here's a classic use case. I've worked very closely with the PhonePe team, and they use our Freddy bot to do a lot of conversational push via the bot. And they're a great example of taking care of exceptional self-service, flows. And if you're a PhonePe user, you should go check out the support page, and you would understand why self-service is very key, especially with the use case like PhonePe, where answers need to be immediately given. Then the next is grow first. I want to highlight this because bots are not an overnight journey. You cannot decide as an organization to turn into a bot company and then expect bot to return your investment in the next 15 or 20 days. The key again here is the agile way of implementing, where you understand, you start with a smaller workflow, you continue to learn, you let the bot learn, and then you expand the horizon of where the bot can go and solve. And Gropers have done that, and that has actually done tremendous help within their customer satisfaction survey. The next we spoke was messaging. I think again very similar to bots, but this one's faster, this one's easy, and it's very familiar. Customers are used to it, agents are used to it, business is used to it, everybody is on messaging these days. Again, very similar to bots, cost saving and better utilization of your agent. The how actually is the key is two things. One is you worry about your customers who you want to engage, and you will have different channels within bot messaging, WhatsApp for business, Apple Business Chat, Facebook Messenger, Instagram PM. There are 100 places where customers want to chat. But often companies also get it wrong, where believe that the agents also need to be on as many different windows and supporting as many customers. And that's not true. You could have multiple different channels, and your agent could simply be on one screen and solving for these queries because of the technology advancement. And that's key, because that helps with speed, helps you optimize the way you deliver support, helps switch between text, video, makes it a little more interacting, which is what is key to empathy, which is what is key to trust building for a lot of brands. And this is the how part. Here's a great example. My favorite is Dunzo. In pandemic, they've been a savior for a lot of people, and they use our chat platform, and they see tremendous improvement in bringing scale into your customer support and reducing the cost while doing that. We'll move to the traditional email. We still continue to do email. 95% of consumers are emailing something or another. It's ideal for complex issues. It is still the most trustworthy way of communicating or gathering big detailed responses. But companies get it wrong, even the basic email, right? I mean, there aren't SLAs set up. If you've got a ticketing tool, very similar to Freshdesk, which is one of our ticketing tools, I often see organizations not taking care of the SLAs between different departments. There could be a lot of productive hacks you could do. You could think about automated templates. We call it canned responses. You could think about enabling train sort of bots for your agents, so they know the frequently asked questions have already been sent in the past. These are all different ways of ensuring that your email and the channel or email is at the maximum when it comes to customer support. This is a great example. Pearson uses emails, and they do a lot of automation within our platform to categorize, to prioritize, and to assign it to the right person so the issue gets resolved at the earliest. Then the next big movement, which continues to be there, is telephone, and a lot of customers still rely on picking up the phone, talking to an agent. Especially when it's an urgent query, when it involves monetary, it's even more quicker, and it's high value because the cost is there. So you oftentimes think about channeling the right customers, providing them the information of telephone at the right time, because these are high value queries which are directed. And obviously this is one of the biggest live interaction with an agent, which means there is a lot of empathy the agent needs to deliver, or organizations need to deliver. Big areas where you can improve this is have separate queues for high value customers, and you can tackle this similar to the bot by building a decision tree through your VoIP and enabling that, identifying and giving that context for customers is very key. So when an agent picks up the phone, he or she understands that this customer had sent a tweet and an email, and then he's calling now, which means that the issue must be very severe, and drive the empathy through the context you're sort of getting. And that's very, very key in a channel like phone. Gene's West is a great example of shifting their contact center to our telephone platform. And this has transformed the way they look at contact center. This case study is up there on our website to take a look at. Then finally, social media. This is the new age cool kid on the block, and it has been there for retail for a lot of time. Brands oftentimes push sales into it, but negative responses or brands negatively getting affected by bad feedback on social media is at the highest today, because everybody who wants to complain goes to social media. And that's a big thing. 45% of the population are on it. 80% of the brand interacts with it, and it has the highest churn rate when you consider other different channels. The how to get social media is obviously maintain separate channels for brands and support. So it's easy for you to do the push for brand, and then it's easy for you to support in many different ways. Monitor all the mentions. Filter out the noise, and that's very key. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting and going through hundreds and hundreds of tweets about a campaign you ran, and that's not going to work. Solve in public. Social media department needs to have the most toughest SLA, and the one which needs to have the immediate setup for escalation metrics, because you do not want a negative review to be there online. It's okay to have, but it's not there online without solving it in public. So that's the next thing. Then finally, one key thing is physical support, especially in retail. An extra one is bridging the physical and the digital online. So if you've got a retail store, if you're considering retail stores, bringing them online, focusing on customer experience for cross-selling and upselling is really, really key. Similar to chat, having context for you to support your customer better. So unifying online and offline is the key here. So this is my last slide, my final slide. I think I have a question as well. I'll take the question right after I'm done with this. This is what I've learned in the last 6-7 years of working closely with retail brands. One is solve for empathy. No technology can solve for it. So you've got to put that across the key. Help that, build that across your technology. Empathy needs to be the biggest driver for customer satisfaction. Staff your channels according to, staff your agents according to the different channels. Each channel has a different nuance. And guide your shoppers. They like to be guided. The more they are pushed to a behavior, the more stickiness we see with it. So with that, a little bit about Freshworks, but I'm going to pause. I believe there is a question around, okay, let me just see this. For omnichannel retailers, channel conflicts can arise when inventory becomes limited because goals may be incompatible. If one channel has no idea what the other is, the omnichannel model is defeated. Should retailers prevent this situation? Absolutely. I think that's a great point. And that's the key when I was talking about integrating technology and bringing that context. A lot of agent data today is spent on shifting between multiple screens, trying to go to the order management system or logistics management and seeing where the order is. And you can build a lot of that. Technology like Freshworks and Freshdesk is available for you to integrate all of this into one single screen. So your agent is focused on solving the customer's problem, and every other context is proactively given to him or her to solve this. And that's the key to exceptional support. So with that, a little bit about Freshworks. We were in the news a couple of days ago for being one of the first few Indian companies to be listed in NASDAQ. We've had the pleasure of working with multiple customers in different organizations, different countries, but some of the customers today who use Swiggy, Dunzo, Netflix, Delivery, they use this for customer support, employee engagement, HRMS. So please go check our website and add me up on LinkedIn in case you guys have any queries. I'm happy to take them. With that, thank you for the opportunity. Good luck with the rest of the event, and stay safe.